My encounter with Ray Bradbury was not uh, unusual in that I was young. I was 14 years old, and probably not unusual in that I was a misfit. I was the fat kid, the ugly kid, the smart kid, and the sissy kid in the rural South in the late 60s and early 70s, and those things were not good then. Um, so I guess the only thing that might make my Bradbury origin story a little unusual was that I found the damn book lying in the woods. I used to go on walks in the woods as a angry kid, park my bike and just walk out into the woods. I like the quiet and the solitude. And walking out there one day, I saw something glinting up. The sun had hit it, and it was the golden cover of the Bradbury anthology, S's for Space, which was almost 10 years old by then. I'd never heard of it. And somebody had discarded it, dropped it, left it, deposited it providentially there in the pine straw. I don't know. But I found it and I looked down to see what the sun was hitting, and there was this man in glasses, and he was doing this, that famous Ray drawing of him looking up in space. And he was looking up into, I looked up to see what he was looking at up in the sky and back down at him and brushed away the pine needles. And it's Ray Bradbury, stories from the masters of imagination. I had no idea what a Ray Bradbury was, but I did love to read. I was a voracious young reader, had been through all the books in our young adult section of the library. We weren't allowed in the other section. And I picked it up and I flipped it open and I opened it to Pillar of Fire, the novella from 1948 about the dead guy that wakes up and he's pissed, and I was pissed. So first thing I read was a description of autumn and something about the Ray that Ray could describe a nothing really, just an ordinary fact of human existence. It was autumn. That's what he was saying. It was the fall of the year. And another person might have said it like that, but Ray said it like this: Autumn. Autumn was burning the land down into ruin. All across the country, the ruins of summer lay. Vast forest bloomed with flame, tumbled down timber onto empty, unleafed timber. The smoke of the burning was rich, blue, and invisible. And it made tears come to my eyes. I had no idea why. And I opened that story to its first sentence, which is, he came out of the earth hating. Hate was his father, hate was his mother. And I was well hooked. The hook was in my mouth right then. In my memory, I sat down and read it then, but you know how memory is. I damn sure know that I read it before the sun set that day and loved it. And I went to my mother and I said, buy more of these. Go to the drugstore and buy more of these. And later I learned I could just send money in and they would send me these wonderful books by this man. So that's how I encountered Ray. Guys, I do death for a living in movies and television. I think about death a lot. I think about I play dead people on stage. I brought dead things to life. But Ray Bradbury should not be a dead thing. And I say this to you from my heart as someone who loved him. Uh, Ray has much to say to us today about ourselves, not about technology or about science or the future, but about us, about humanity, because that's what he wrote about. It's timeless, it's precious, and I would even say that it's essential to us right now if we're going to make it. And what this center does is much more than house an archive of a dead writer's things. We all have stuff. What the Ray Bradbury Center does is keep the humanity of this man who teaches us about our humanity alive and living and vibrant, like a candle, a flame, whatever the metaphor you choose, a star. Ray Bradbury is in need of saving from dead things. That's what the Center for Ray Bradbury Studies does. If you love Ray, if his work has ever meant anything to you, if it's helped preserve some spark in you that you're really glad that you still have alive, help them. And in so doing, help Ray continue to speak to us. How foolish that must sound to say about another human being who just wrote books. But in books are metaphors, and I believe that Ray would say that in metaphors are our salvation. Help him, help us, and help this center, please.